The specific needs for client and environmental concerns created the impetus for this fantastic Newcastle home that's small on budget, but big on design. What was the original brief?
So Vicky wanted a house for herself, and she wanted a place that she could have her family and kids around. And to be honest, the whole project started to become more about her family and how they would live and occupy the house, and than it did about her. But it was always meant to be really simple, really utilitarian, and yeah, have the ability to be maintenance-free in a way, but just to age gracefully. Where we are right here is really close to Newcastle Harbour. It's only about 1 metre above sea level, and the flood controls here actually stipulate that the minimum habitable floor level is 1.6 metres above floor level, so we can't build any habitable spaces below that level.
Part of the requirements of being of a flood property, it needed to be robust enough, strong enough to withstand the effects of flood, but also part of Vicky's brief is that it was not meant to be precious, and I guess brick has this robustness about it.
Because it is a really small site and the proximity to neighbours, starting to think about things like privacy and security and how we start to manage those things on this particular site as well. What we've almost done is build to the extremities of the site and then started to carve away pockets to bring in light, ventilation, but just to create a really simple form that has the ability to start to connect back to the site itself. It's kind of imagined almost as a ruin.
How did you use the blockwork for decorative effect?
Yeah, so it's changing the bond patterns, starting to undulate the block, turning the blocks, just looking at different patterns in a way to bring shadow and texture to the facade of the building, which I think starts to soften it, and yeah, it brings it more down to a human scale, so it's not a monolithic thing.
Like we used the lintel block in different ways, not just as used as a lintel, but opportunities for how that might be a way to conceal a downpipe or a light shelf or a mailbox.
They don't just become the house, they extend into the garden and frame and articulate rooms within the garden. And so there's this really nice play or this consideration around kind of where does the inside and outside of this building actually start and stop, which, yeah, I think the blocks have that quality where they can be considered as an internal material, but they're very much an external material as well. And these particular blocks have got the smooth finish, and so there's a really nice kind of sharpness and crispness to them.
The context kind of the house is a semi-industrial area, and so immediately as you kind of walk past the house, you could feel it's part of that semi-industrial zone. But there's just little clues about turning the blocks or little details that kind of catch your eye, and you understand it's actually something a little bit more than another mechanical workshop.
In terms of climate, it's fantastic. It feels more like a northern New South Wales, Queensland.
With the whole idea of climate change and sea level rise and the impacts of flooding and storm events, that what we're going to find is that the Queenslander is going to become a really practical model or typology of housing that will start to become adapted in other parts or, further down the coast.
This sort of vision shows how young and emerging architects are creating thoughtful, playful and sustainable designs, proving that there's a bright future for Australian architecture.